The ninth lit, and we are reviewing our questions for today. So if everybody would get out the questions before we get back to the test. Let's look at, I'm not sure where we are, but most of us, the other classes, have gotten through 40. And I don't know, I don't think we're that far.
No, we're on 126.
I'm talking about questions.
Oh my gosh, oh.
There's no questions
So,
We're on, let's say 126.
but let's look at the questions first.
I've answered up to 43.
Oh, wait, I need to
All right, you tell me, because we're all over the map with the other class. Which one?
39.
Really? Good.
I
We've-
have
we've done up-
34. Oh my god.
39? Okay, great. Well, let's, so we've done up to 38. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Yeah.
All right. Let's work backwards. Look at 38. What is the fate of Ganelon as revealed to us in, let's say, 109? Do you have that one? Do you want to turn there? I'll show you where it is. What? I don't know if we did, but I'm gonna.
We skipped 114.
Yeah, we're gonna go turn back to page 106. Let's say 109. Right? The question is, what is the fate of Ganelon in this, it's revealed in this stanza, the last four lines. And this is, he's talking about Ganelon. So, thereby he lost life and limbs of his own when it aches after they judged him to the rope, and of his kin 30 were hanged also. So they're talking about Ganelon will lose his life and his limbs. I don't want to, we will read that at some point, but it's the losing of the limbs that cost him his life. So
38 is the losing of the lens.
yeah, if you want to, it's on the last page, but that was their method of obviously torture to kill Ganelon. It's one of those other many things in the book that I don't admire Charlemagne for. Even though he's supposed to be the good guy, he's brutal. He can be brutal. Yes.
Wasn't he tied to a wild horse?
Yes. 4 of them.
What's that?
So it literally ripped apart.
Oh, like those things where like they spin it, or was that like?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
sorry, this is on which?
Oh.
106.
Oh, I'm way off. Oh, so are we like going back?
Well, we're doing question number 38.
Oh.
That's where we started. All right, question number 37. We're kind of going backwards here. Describe the course of the battle thus far for Roland, Oliver, and their men. So the first half of the battle, who's winning?
Oh, it's
the French.
You guys have a lot of people.
All right, so all the peers have killed all the Spanish or Saracen peers. And the test is not that hard, but it's because like the word Saracen is on the test. I've said it 100 times, but that doesn't mean you heard me once. But that, I have said it, it's been in the text. Who are the Saracens?
They're the Spanish.
Right. Saracen is a better word because these are Spanish Muslims, and today you don't think of Spain being Muslim. It's not. It's a Roman Catholic country, but at this point there was a good number of Muslims in Spain. And I'll go to 36, and that's as far as I'll go unless you have other questions.
Well, I have 35 and 34 still.
All right. 36, what examples can you find to suggest the Franks are good and the Spanish, I would say Saracens are bad?
Well, it is very well, as you said, it's very biased, but.
Who's biased?
The French.
The narrator.
Right, I'm sorry, the narrator.
The narrator is biased
because-
toward the French.
Towards the French,
Right.
yeah. So it's obviously like the French are the good guys and the Saracens are the bad guys.
He actually says that, almost literally word for word. The French are the good guys the Saracens are the bad guys.
So,
And he paints pictures of them, word pictures, but the bad guys look like bad guys. They're real mean looking, and they're tricky. The French, they would never trick you. They'll stand up and fight you man to man, but they're not gonna stab you in the back. His whole plan is a trick to stab Charlemagne in the back, so to speak, right? His rear guard. It's not the vanguard, it's the rear guard. So that's another way that the narrator makes the Saracens look bad.
yeah.
So were like tricks back then seen as kind of like less dignified?
Yes, because what code do knights live on? Chivalry. And you would never, a knight would never attack somebody from behind. Think about Beowulf. Beowulf wouldn't use a weapon because Grendel didn't use a weapon. So he wasn't gonna fight him with an unfair advantage. That was part of the code of chivalry. So Spanish, all bets are off. We'll do anything we can to win. 35.
It's okay, I don't need them.
All right, gotcha. All right, so let's turn back to where we left off, which is page 115, number 126. Oh, don't forget these words if you want some extra credit. The test, which I always give extra credit. Melee, will he or nil he, which is the same thing as willy nilly, which is the same thing as pell-mell. Oddly enough, all those words essentially mean the same thing. Disordered confusion. But this word particularly refers to a battle in which a mass or group of men are fighting another group of men, not individuals fighting each other, but a large group fighting another large group. What you've usually seen in movies when two lines of troops, like even in the Tolkien movies, they come together and it's just mass confusion. So all those words are here. So let's pick it up at 115. On 115, number 126. I'll start, and I'll from the get-go, as they say, look at the first line of 126 and the first line of 125. What do you call that? Rapprochement. Two things from the beginning I can tell you you're going to need to know is the literary terms. All right, we don't have to read anymore for that. And the background. There's a whole section on the background. There's a whole section on the terms. You've met most of the major characters. There are a couple that we'll take a look at before we're done. All right, so wondrous the battle, and it grows faster yet. The French fight on with rage, and fury fell. They lop off wrists, hew limbs, and spines to shreds. They cleave the harness through to the living flesh. Just pause to make this personal. Saturday I was working in the yard and I felt, because I wasn't looking where I was going, I had the leaf blower, and I caught myself with my right hand, and it's better, but I thought maybe I'd broken it. It swelled up. So the next day particularly, I woke up Sunday morning, it was like this. Nothing broken, it just hurt. Can you imagine warfare, any warfare? Think about today warfare. Guys get their limbs blown off. It's not much different than medieval warfare where they get their limbs chopped off. I know it's quick, it's not slow, but can you imagine the pain and involved in that? No medicine really to relieve that pain. They can get a guy in a helicopter minutes after he's been injured, and even in Afghanistan, remote corners of Afghanistan, we don't have any troops there anymore, and fly him to a hospital, get him on a plane when he's able, fly him to Germany, to a real hospital, then fly him to America to another hospital. Within days, if he's able to do that, you could literally stay on the battlefield for days in the Middle Ages and just slowly die from bleeding out. That wouldn't be too slow. Anyway, on the green ground, the blood runs clear and red. The Paynim say, we cannot stand the stress. French fatherland, be cursed of Muhammad. Your sons are bravest of all the sons of men. There's none of them but cries, Marcel, for help. Ride, ride, O king, for we are hard bested. So, who seems to be winning here still? The French are winning, but that's about to change. Somebody want to read for us? All right, we'll start with Huck. 127.
Roland the Count calls out to Oliver. Fair sir, companion, confess that for this year our lordship archbishop quits him like any peer. Earth cannot bench him beneath the heaven's sphere. Well does he know the handle, lance, and spear? The Count replies, let's aid him now and here. At this the French lay on the left ear. Harder their strokes, the fight is very fierce. And for the Christians the losses are severe. Who then had seen Roland and Oliver smite with their swords and through all the crest pierce, and the archbishop goes thrusting with his spear. Of those they slew, the numbers are right or writ clear. In many charters and tales of chroniclers, more than 4,000 as in the guest peers. For great assaults they borne with right good cheer. Then comes a fit, doleful and dread and drear. All the French knighthood has fallen in career. 60 alone by God's grace persevere. These, ere they die, will sell their bodies dear.
All right, very important information there. How many of the French are left? 60. Remember, it really started, I said the French are winning. I shouldn't have said that, because really it started several pages ago when the peers started dying one by one. And so that was a sign, and then all of a sudden we have 60 out of 20,000. So make a note of that. Look at question number 44. I know we're skipping a lot. We're going to go backwards again. Look at question number 44. How does the narrator step outside the action in, let's say, 127? What effect does this have on the narration?
Step outside the action. Oh, well, they're kind of looking at it from a perspective that's like, how do you say, kind of all-knowing. So you can see like how drastic the deaths
Right.
have been and stuff. So it gives more scale to like the heavy losses.
And you mentioned perspective. It is an omniscient narrator, so he knows everything. He can back away. And every time he says the French are good and the Saracens are bad, that's an example of this, where the narrator interjects his opinion into the narration. Yeah. Here, he says, 60 alone by God's grace persevere. These, ere they die, will sell their bodies dear. So he's predicting that they will die. He said, before they die, they will sell their bodies dearly. What does he mean by that? Yeah.
They're gonna sacrifice something.
That's right. Yeah, you can attack me, but I'm gonna get a few licks in before you kill me. Yeah, I'm gonna make you pay for it. I'm gonna hurt you. You may kill me, but I'm gonna hurt you before you do. That's the idea. That's 44. Go back to 43. This is just a general question. Everybody, 43? Question 43. What is the effect of the author's decision to detail a series of one-on-one battles rather than simply describing the chaos of war? Yeah.
It gives more detail and makes it more personal.
Always, yeah. If you just say this group, kill that group, it becomes more impersonal. Here you've got Roland killing Estragon. So it's more personal and we like it better. It seems more human. All right, so let's continue to work backwards. Look at number 42. I've given you one example. We've had lots of examples. Remember, the one example that I found was in, let's say, 125, 126. Fierce is the battle, marvelous and great. That's in 125. 126, wondrous the battle, and it grows faster yet. That's Raposia. It's, in some cases, exact same order. Maybe different words, but it's almost the exact same. Everybody keeping up with us? All right, so we're gonna go back to 41.
Sorry, 42 was Raposa?
The question was, look at it. And we found lots of examples. I'm just asking you to look at those two. It says find an example. That's all we needed, one example. To have one example, you have to have two things, right?
What was the example? Because we skipped 116.
126 and 127. Last day is 126.
Or
Oh, 126, I see, I was on,
The first one.
then I thought it, yeah.
All right, let's move back again. Again, just kind of a general question. What connection is insinuated between bravery in battle and spiritual redemption in let's say 125? So, I'm sorry, 115. So go back to page 110.
Sorry, what is Raposa then? Isn't it willy-nilly or pell-mell?
No, Raposia is repeating words that are exactly the same with some maybe slightly different.
Oh, right, okay, so fierce is the battle, marvelous and great, and then wonder is the battle, it grows faster yet.
See, they're almost identical, but not quite. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're going back to page 110. Anybody with me? All right, number 115.
He's good.
I missed this whole thing, John Carter, and I can't go back and do it just for you.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, Zach.
All right, 115. The question is, question 21. What connection is insinuated between bravery in battle and spiritual redemption? He's basically saying if you stand firm and hold your ground, you'll end up in heaven. There's a stipulation there. You know, it's like, if you do this, then this will happen. And anyway, that happens a lot in the book. Go back to number 40. We're working backwards.
Sorry, 41 was, okay, it says,
And if you hold your ground or have it habit, basically it's like if you do this, this will happen.
oh, right, okay.
All right, we're going back to 40. Everybody with me? All right, top of page on page 107. Remember, the question is, the question is, what evidence do you see that the battle is shifting toward the Spanish? And notice the weather is going crazy in the sky, and it gets dark at the middle of the day. And what does the darkness at noon tell us?
Oh, it's the godly light, it's almost the, it's the, it adds almost a divine, like, level of
Well, it does.
battle.
And the
It's
battle is
almost-
huge.
It's become,
Right.
like, godly intervention.
What in that tells you that the French are going to lose?
Because it's like, it's gonna come soon.
Well, no,